Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss the history of Planck's theory, the assumptions he gave, and the derivations related to his theory. So as in the next video, I have told you that after the Rayleigh and Jeans theory, Planck's theory was the first ever theory and the successful one in the quantum mechanics, and that's when quantum mechanics emerged. Since we know that Rayleigh and Jeans used the law of equipartition of energy in their theory, so Max Planck actually started from the law of equipartition of energy and tried to make some changes, and that is how he came into his own conclusions. Max Planck told that the law of equipartition of energy can't modify the blackbody theory. According to Max Planck, for higher frequency, energy is equals to kT and total energy is equals to kT and frequency is 0 at that time. And for low frequency, energy is 0 and frequency will be infinity. And law of equipartition of energy says the opposite of this. Law of equipartition says that energy is equals to kT for lower frequency and energy is equals to 0 for higher frequency. So the main argument was that law of equipartition of energy says that distribution of energy is continuous, but Max Planck told that energy distribution is discrete, and that was the actual turning point of quantum mechanics. So in 1900, to explain the distribution energy of the spectrum of blackbody, Max Planck established the quantum theory of radiation. He derived the radiation law on the basis of some assumptions. That is, he made some assumptions which he modified from the Rayleigh-Jeans theory and did some changes, and based on those assumptions, he gave a new theory. So the first assumption says that the blackbody radiation chamber, that is the cavity, is not empty but filled with gas molecules of perfect gas. In the Rayleigh and Jeans theory, we can see that in the first fact given by Rayleigh and Jeans, they said that the EM waves EM waves between the walls of cavity inside will be standing waves. But what Sir Max Planck told is that the cavity is not exactly empty but filled with gas molecules of perfect gas. That is, he is saying that the radiations get absorbed, but the walls of the cavity emit some heat radiations which are gas molecules of the perfect gas. And in the second assumption, we can see that he told that the essence of temperature in case of radiation may be viewed as the energy exchange between matter and radiation. That is, when electromagnetic waves are passed into the cavity, and after that, when heat waves are radiated, the difference in temperature at that time, at the time of emission, may be viewed as the energy exchange between matter and radiation. And the third assumption says that there are resonators of molecular dimension which can absorb energy from the radiation and partly or fully deliver energy to the gas molecules during collisions, and hence thermodynamic equilibrium will be established. And in this third assumption, he says that inside the cavity, when the radiations are emitted, at that moment there are resonators, that is, or else we can say that there are quantas, that is, packets filled with energy which can absorb energy from the radiation and partly or fully deliver to the gas molecules during collisions. That is, when the gas molecules collide, these quantas can jump from one energy state to another, and then when the energy levels are equal, the thermodynamic equilibrium will be established. And the fourth assumption says that the oscillator can radiate or absorb energy in quantas of h nu, that is in discrete set of values 0 to nh nu, only when the oscillator jumps from one energy state to another. So as I told you, I have already mentioned you in the third assumption, uh, since the oscillator of the black body cannot have any arbitrary amount of energy but has discrete energy, so we can say that En is equals to h nu only when the oscillator jumps from one energy state to another. So those are the assumptions given by Max Planck, and that is when that E is equals to h nu, the uh, the formula which we basically use while solving almost every problem in physics was discovered by Max Planck, and that was the birth of quantum physics. So this h is called the Max Planck's constant. So now let's proceed to the derivation of Planck's law and see how he derived his formula. So at first he assigned numbers to each resonator and energy. So here we can see n0, number of resonators with energy 0 epsilon, and in the same way up to nr it is r epsilon. So the total number of resonators in the cavity becomes n is equals to the summation of all the number of resonators. And then when we multiply the number of resonators with the amount of energy, we get the total energy. Here you can see total energy E is equals to epsilon n1 plus 2 epsilon n2 and so on. So now from classical consideration, Maxwell's formula, the probability of finding a resonator having energy epsilon is e to the power minus epsilon by kt. This was the probability of finding a resonator from the law of equipartition of energy given by Maxwell, that is e to the power minus epsilon by kt. So with this value we can write nr is equals to n0 e to the power minus r epsilon by kt, and so n is equals to n naught into 1 plus e to the power minus epsilon by kt plus and so on. So in shorter form we can write this one, where y is equals to e to the power minus epsilon by kt, that is the total energy which I told you given by Maxwell's formula. Similarly we can write when multiplying with the amount of energy, we can write that epsilon n naught n0 y into 1 plus 2y plus and so dot dot, which becomes the energy multiplied by this number. So the average energy per resonator becomes E by n, that is E epsilon by e to the power epsilon by kt minus 1. So from the Rayleigh and Jeans theory, we have seen that the energy density he found by multiplying the total number of waves by energy of single wave and dividing them by volume. But in Max Planck, he found the energy density by multiplying the number of waves with the total energy, not by the energy of a single wave, and by dividing with volume. So the energy density becomes h pi nu square by c cube into epsilon by sorry, I made a mistake. The energy h pi nu square by c cube into epsilon by e to the power epsilon by kt minus 1 into d nu. According to Wien's displacement law, we have seen that energy is directly proportional to frequency. So E is equals to h nu. So as I have told at the end of the assumptions, that this formula which we use while solving almost every problem in physics, and this h is the Planck's constant. So with this, the expression of energy density inside the cavity may be expressed as E nu d nu is equals to h pi nu square by c cube into epsilon by e to the power epsilon by kt minus 1 dV. We have already seen that. And after that it becomes 8 pi nu square by c cube h nu by e to the power epsilon by kt minus 1 into d nu. So this is the final formula which was given by Max Planck, and this formula is called the Planck's theory of radiation. And in terms of wavelength, we can write this formula where we have to replace the nu, that is the frequency, with lambda, that is wavelength. So you can see this formula. So this was the derivation of Planck's theory of radiation, and now we will proceed how the Wen's radiation law and Rayleigh-Jeans and Stefan Boltzmann law can be derived from Planck's law.